how the heck you got into healthcare and really your early career, you going to school and growing up in Milan as well.
Around 2005, 2006, I entered into the biotech industry until, I reached there and I had the opportunity to get the helm of it. Everything was based on my curiosity and my idea to continue to learn for the entire life.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Compound Wisdom. I'm your host, Steve Sood, and today I'm actually joined by Dr. Giuseppe Calloni. He's the CEO of RegenLab. It's a science-first regenerative medicine company that's treated millions of patients globally with PRP. Dr. Calloni's path is wild. He was born in Milan, trained in the UK, and also has a PhD in atomic physics. Then he moved from deep R&D into commercial leadership across Europe, the US, and China before really taking the helm at RegenLab as a CEO. Now, in today's episode, we're going to break down their proprietary gel-separating PRP tubes, why he's bullish on PRP and some of the newer products they're going to be introducing, and really touching on the FDA, the 10-year processes that can really consume a company, and coming out the other side of the FDA approvals with reimbursements and real scale. Dr. Giuseppe, welcome to Compound Wisdom. Giuseppe, thank you for joining Compound Wisdom. So, one of the first things I want you to touch on for the listeners is, how the heck you got into healthcare and really your early career and you going to school and growing up in Milan as well.
Yeah, so thank you so much for inviting me to this talk. Yeah, it's a pleasure. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I had a very interesting career. I was born in Italy. You can feel from my accent. But so I was born and raised in Italy. I completed my study in the UK. So I got my PhD in atomic physics. I study also colloid chemistry. And the curiosity that is part of the to be a physicist moved me to different area of science. And so I started in the oil and gas, and then I moved to the chemical industry. I started with the basic R&D or applied R&D in the oil and field industry, and then I moved to the chemical industry. And finally, starting around 2005, 2006, I entered into the biotech industry. And until, I reached there and I had the opportunity to get the helm of RegenLab USA, which is a medical device company. So a very wide range of transformation, but everything was based on my curiosity and my idea to continue to learn for the entire life.
Nice. That's awesome. And then how did you end up from, obviously going to Milan, then you studied in the UK, and then how'd you end up in the US, and what were some of the early careers, I guess, with RegenLab, more importantly?
Yeah, of course. During the career, I moved again, due to my curiosity, not just in terms of learning more about science, but also to learn about the planet and to meet people, different religions, different races, different people around the country. I had the opportunity to travel a lot and to work in many different countries. I started in Italy, of course, but then I moved to France. Then I moved to Switzerland for a couple of years. Then I worked for almost 9 years between China and US. And then finally I stopped in the US. And I had this opportunity to meet RegenLab USA. Used to be one of my clients in my previous biotech company. And so we started to have a collaboration. And that's why at the end I had the opportunity, and the honor to enter in this company.
Nice. And then you obviously, really quickly ended up becoming the CEO. So I want you to talk about that and then really also talk about what RegenLab does as well.
Yeah, this is the most important part. Is not me. The important part is the company. The company is a science-based company. RegenLab was founded by a great person, my president, Mr. Tursi, in around 2003. He was my boss. Founded the company in Switzerland, and he had this. He's a genius. He's a sort of visionary person, and he basically invented the technology to, that it's allowed me to separate the blood component in different fractions in the way that as at the end you have a product which is what you want to use to treat patient from the hair to the toe. And basically what we do in our medical device company is we produce kit. So we produce, tubes, glass tubes, that are containing the core of the technology, which is what we call gel separating technology. What it does, so we treat the patient, we draw the blood, so we have the blood of the patient, and in the tube we have the gel. This gel has a very specific physical and chemical characteristics, means that it can change the physical state or appearance based on the shear stress that is applied on the gel. So basically, we draw the blood, we put the tube in the centrifuge, we spin for 5 minutes. During this spinning time, the gel is transitioning from almost solid state to semi-liquid. And during this transition, before the end of the spinning, all the blood components are separated by the gel based on density. So what we have at the end of the spinning is a situation like this. So we have the blood now is on the bottom, the gel in the middle, and something yellowish on the top. This is basically what we call poor platelet plasma. Just by inverting 20 times the tubes, what we have is the concentration of the platelet on the top, and what we have is what we call platelet-rich plasma, PRP. PRP has been used in the market since almost the early 1970s.
Wow.
First of all, it's been used in hematology for blood transfusion, and then expanded the application in maxillofacial and cardiac surgery in the 1890s, until there was a boom of the application in different areas, including sport medicine, injuries, hair loss, skin rejuvenation, even gynecology after 2005, 2006. And this is exactly the time when my boss invented and patented this technology to separate the blood and to have the PRP. Based on the type of gel, you can select the molecule that you want inside the PRP. And so we have basically two options. We can have more pro-inflammatory effect or anti-inflammatory effect based on the way that you separate the blood component. And then you can treat, based on the type of PRP that you have, you can treat more in the aesthetic or on the ortho side. Okay. This is a little bit of the history of the company. So we are a science-based company. We have about over 100 patents around the world, many also in the US already released. We publish for every type of area of application, we publish books containing all the clinical data that we collect in over 20 years of experience, and we have over 300 scientific publications reviewed and so available for the doctors and for the public.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, one of the first times I ever heard about PRP, I think, was from when Kobe Bryant was using it. But there's a lot of athletes that do it. You mentioned aesthetics and non-aesthetics, but can you touch on some of the benefits of PRP and why it's blowing up? And
yeah, basically PRP is touching directly what we call regeneration and healing. So PRP, the platelet contain inside all the growth factor that you need to heal and to regenerate the cell. Cells are at the base of the biology, and so everything that happens in our body is due to the communication between the cell and everything which is happening to the cell. So in order to maintain this process very active and very efficient, you need to work at the cell level. And this is what PRP is doing. So based on the fact that, for example, in aesthetic, you can have, I was mentioned before, hair loss. You can treat hair loss. And today, I can say that PRP is the only real effective treatment that can, regenerate hair. We have clinical study regarding, the application of PRP on women that have been treated with chemotherapy and radiotherapy for breast cancer. Different type of alopecia for men. So you can start from hair, but you can use also for facial treatment in order to regenerate and have a sort of rejuvenation effect on your face, in nasolabial, under the eyes. And you can move, for example, in the gynecology, and there are a lot of studies. We have a lot of experience in this area for both men dysfunction or for women after birth and after menopause. And then moving through the body, you can go into the orthopedic, you can, treat patient for pain relief, for spur medicine, for injuries, for foot and ankle, for articulation, for knee osteoarthritis. Today, our company, as I told you, is a science-based company. So everything that we do is because we have the data, we have the science behind us. Today, for example, in the knee osteoarthritis, We are probably the only company in the world, that with a complete platform of PRP devices, which is the original PRP plus the evolution of PRP in the tissue engineering area, combining, for example, PRP and hyaluronic acid in order to have the scaffold for PRP through the hyaluronic acid, which bring what is the benefit? The benefit is that if you make a treatment with PRP plus hyaluronic acid, you can prolong the time between different treatments. So you prolong the performance of the patient in terms of movement, in terms of reduction of pain, and possibly you avoid to go through the surgery. So the evolution of PRP is in the tissue, regenerative medicine and tissue engineering, but also we are more and more focused on what we call prevention. So we have a pipeline of product that, based on the science, we want to give benefit to the population in terms of public health, to prevent to go to the hospital to undergo with a very dramatic situation in terms of surgery, rehabilitation, cost, etc. So we are trying to help the population to have a better life, and especially a better quality of life.
I love that. It's all about the longevity space. Now, I wanted you to touch on how many patients you guys have treated through your product, because I think it's amazing. And, also touch on how many countries that you're in, and really, US is a big presence, but you guys are all over the world. I want you to touch on that.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, my boss, Mr. Tursi, created this company in early 2000 in Switzerland, and they had, at the time I was not a part of the company, but they had this manufacturing facility, which is incredible high level in terms of quality, in terms of production capacity. And they started to have distribution in over 60 countries. Then the visionary approach of my boss was, okay, the world is changing, geopolitical conditions are changing, and in addition to that, the regulatory pathway or the approval from the authority entities is different in the different areas of the planet. Asia, China FDA is different from US FDA, which is different from the European entities. So he decided to position the company with 3 manufacturing facilities that we have completed now in Switzerland, of course, as I mentioned, in France and the US, in the way that we are close to the authorities in order to speed up the process of approval, and we are close also to the patient, because in this way, the supply chain is much easier. And you look now what is happening with the geopolitical condition and situation. The vision of my boss was, okay, we relocate the company in the US in the way that anything that is happening on the other side of the ocean, we are protected. We can continue to do our job and to treat the patient. In terms of patient, you mentioned how many, I can tell you that we have a record that we treated probably 2-3 million patients in the last 20 plus years. And we continue also because, for example, we received in 2022, after 10 years of waiting for the approval from FDA for a new type of kit that has been released for the treatment of diabetic chronic wounds.
Okay.
With the reimbursement at national level. So with this,
waited 10 years for that.
10 years, yes, 10 years of long time of waiting. A lot of investment, of course, from my boss, a lot of data to collect, a lot of clinical data, which is fine because it's our job. What we want to do is to bring to the market products that are based on science, the top of the quality. They are not copycat of other product. So we want to benefit the quality of life of the population. And so this is why we accept, the condition that FDA is requesting. FDA is requesting safety, is requesting efficacy. So this requires a lot of time. Sometimes things could move for sure much faster, but at the same time, I can say, it's better that at the end you go in the market and with something that is really working for the public health.
Yep. Let's actually talk. You mentioned a 3-letter word there a lot, the FDA. Let's talk about the FDA and the differences of dealing with the FDA in the US and the different markets. And I want you to just touch on also on top of that, you guys, I feel like you have done an amazing job with your products and with, dealing with the FDA. Can you touch on that as well?
Yeah, as I told you, the most important is the vision and the fact that the decision to have three different manufacturing platform in the three main area of the world has been the best decision because the requests are different, the investment in terms of time, in terms of cost are different. China and US are different. Europe, in some area of the pharmaceutical market, is even more strict than FDA. But sometimes the time to approve a new product it's faster. The most important is that from the entrepreneurial point of view, if you can balance the situation across the planet, this is the most important and most beneficial part of the project. And I think that we are there. And we have products that have been approved in Europe already 5-6 years ago. We still are waiting from FDA, but it's fine. It's part of the game. In the meantime, we can do our job very successfully and treat a lot of patients in Europe or in the rest of the world. In the meantime, that we get approval for the US. It's the market is very fluid. So, and it's important that you maintain a balance in the way that you can satisfy the company performance and target in the same way that you do a good job for the patients.
Yeah, it's all about the patients, man, and that's amazing. I still love the fact that you've impacted millions of lives over the 22
Absolutely.
years.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. I want to talk about stem cells, exosomes, and PRP. For the listeners, I want you to really talk about your very fourth level or 5-year-old version of it and explain it like I'm five on all three of those things.
Yeah, and we said before that PRP contain everything that you need to reach a target in the different treatment that you need to apply to the patients. So PRP contain the growth factor. Inside the platelet, if you open the platelet, you can find the exosome. These are the real exosome that you can claim to be active and to bring the biological activity that you expect to reach the final target. Again, we are a science-based company. I know that exosome has been it became very, very popular in terms of concept in the last couple of years. Like, for example, in the cosmetic industry, there was a wave about 7-8 years ago about the use of CBD. Everybody was talking about CBD. Then the CBD was removed for many different problems, and the new wave was about the exosome. But again, it's for this type of application and the type of exosome that are available in the market, from my point of view, it's a little bit of marketing concept more than data driven concept, because the question is how you can select the supply, the source of the exosome, how you can maintain the exosome alive, how you can guarantee that when you treat the patient, the exosome are still alive, and so they bring the benefit, for the communication between the cells. So there are a lot of things that it depends which part of the table you want to stay. You want to play as a science-based entity, or you want to to play the game, and so trying to match a little bit of science with a lot of marketing. We decide to stay on the side of science, and this is why we say, okay, we know that the PRP contain everything that the body needs, the cell need to regenerate and to bring benefit to the body, and this is the place where we want to stay.
Nice. Let's touch on, stem cells as well and how that's starting to blow up and what that means for the PRP business for you too.
But honestly, it's a two different type of product, especially because if we talk about the stem cells, one of the question is the original source. So it's the source. It contains a lot of question marks also regarding potential, ethical situation. So umbilical cord, all these type of things. Exactly. So we decide that, for the reason that I mentioned until now, PRP, and especially the way that we produce PRP, which is the safest and the most efficient way to have the highest quality of PRP available. We have everything that we need. So we don't need to add anything else in order to treat a patient for, the symptom that we were discussing before in the different area, orthopedic or gynecology, or so we leave. We are not touching directly this type of market. We maintain, the position to stay in the original PRP plus, as I mentioned initially of our discussion, the evolution in the regenerative medicine and then more and more in the tissue engineering, where the company is investing much more, and we continue to invest in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I guess that brings up a great point. Where is RegenLab going? Where is your focus at for regenerative medicine in the next 3 to 5 years for your company? And then I also want you to touch on where you think regenerative medicine is going overall in the next 5 years. You can even touch on regulation and some of the products that are coming out.
For us, the pathway is very clear. I think that as I was saying before, we have a pipeline of product in the PRP plus something, and plus something means that we are moving with the something more into the tissue engineering or regenerative medicine or cell regeneration. We have a pipeline of products that are bringing hopefully soon also in the US, not just because we have already the similar product in other markets like in Europe, for example, or in Asia. So we are still working with the FDA to have this product available for especially in the area of knee osteoarthritis, in the way that very soon hopefully we'll be able to treat grade 1 to 4 knee osteoarthritis in order to prevent even the patient with the highest rate of pain and osteoarthritis to possibly avoid the surgery and to maintain anyway a good quality of life in terms of movement, in terms of activity, etc. We are also continuing the R&D, and we are focusing now on in the area of tissue engineering. Because the idea is to try to prevent as much as possible the decline of the quality of life to the people. And we have in the pipeline very innovative new type of implant, I would say, based on new type of technology, mainly electrospinning and 3D printing, in order to have very innovative implant that can be applied into the body using minimal invasive surgery instead of opening, for example, for cartilage replacement or for bone repair or for tissue repair, instead of having macro surgery and a long time of rehabilitation and a lot of pain for the patient, trying to be extremely minimally invasive in the way that the body can recover 100% in terms of quality, in terms of movement, without much faster.
Wow. So a lot of exciting stuff. Where do you see the regenerative space in the next, next 5 years?
Yeah, I think that probably prevention. It's prevention of especially in the US. You're American. I'm American, but after 40 years of my life, the first of all, the quality of life. In this country, for example, diabetes is a very wide issue. It's a huge issue, and is growing every year because of the lifestyle, because the diet, etc., etc., etc. So problem, and the population is older and older. So putting together all these ingredients, what you have to do is to try to offer to the market and to the population solutions that are preventing the damage, preventing to reach the level of very poor quality of life. And so I think that this is that should be the focus and the pathway for all the companies that are in the regenerative medicine in general, because this is the reality that we have around us.
Yeah, it's all about preventative, man. That's couldn't agree with you more. You mentioned something which was diabetes. What are your thoughts on the explosion of GLPs and being almost 12 to 14% of Americans being on GLPs and that scaling as well? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's this is a very unique situation. I think based on what I'm reading and the information that I have for the U.S. country.
Yeah.
Uh, for example, in Europe, especially for example in Italy, my country of origin, it's very it's very difficult, even forbidden, the use of sugar in the normal food.
Yeah.
Here, you see even kids that when they are very, very extremely young, very little, they start to drink, soda or that stuff that are containing a lot of sugar. And then there is a lot of habit regarding the food delivery. So you do not control the quality of ingredients. You do not control, even from the regulation standpoint. So
Yeah.
you can use sugar, you can use, junky food or whatever, and since very, very young age. And so at the end, the effect, the cumulative effect on your body is that, the diabetes, but then also the cancer is continue to grow because it's not just a DNA, but also the impact from the habit. It's very important. So at the end, the population is older, is getting older. The expected lifetime is much longer than 20, 50 years ago. And the fact that people are not moving enough in terms of sport activity, bad diet, bad quality of food. So this is a big issue. And so that's why, for example, with the technology that I mentioned before, applied in wound care, it
Yeah.
is being a very magic product that is now available in the market to to help the people to cure and to heal all type of wounds in a very fast time without any contraindication or no complication, and it's reimbursed. So it's for diabetic chronic wound is reimbursed nationwide. So the population, even if they have this type of problem, amputation and limb preservation and many other type of area of application, if they use it, they see the benefit, and it's from the
But you guys
economic.
are a huge player in the wound care space, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. What other, let's touch on wound care. I don't want you to touch on how big of an industry that is and what you guys provide as well. You touched on it a little bit, of course.
Yeah, the entire, we are talking about billion and billion. And so, because, wounds are, there are many different area of wounds, and then you have the chronic wounds, and then you have the diabetic chronic wounds. But you
Yeah.
have you have acute and chronic wounds. So you have wounds due to the diabetic situation, but you have also pressure ulcer, or you have also post-op complication. So the in all this area, PRP, because we have the data, can play a phenomenal job, in terms of healing process, in terms of recovering very fast without necessity to go through multiple treatment. We have data, for example, in diabetic chronic wounds that, in 3, 4, maximum 5 application for very severe condition, very large wounds, the patient have completely healing wounds in such small amount of treatment. While if you take a comparison with other uh, product in the market, they need to go up to 15, even 20 treatment before see the complete healing process done.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing.
But we are
Now,
talking billion and billion. So
yeah, yeah, which it's a market that I wasn't aware of was that big. And then, one of my buddies was in it, and then talking to you, I was like, holy smokes, it's a massive, massive market to say the least. Now, Dr. Calloni, the way we like to end the podcast is the previous guest, who I absolutely love, Dr. Zalzala. He's one of the original people in the telehealth space, one of the original telehealth doctors, to say the least. He asks a blind question to you. He doesn't know that you're on this. And then you're going to ask a blind question to the next guest as well. But his question to you is, how do you make it stick? And what he means by that is, how do you get people to make meaningful long-term changes, whether that's in their habits, reassessment, staying on track, and, rather than a short-term burst. And that, especially being in the longevity space, how do you make it stick?
I think that you know you have to be curious to understand what is happening in your life, how you can change your life, and to be resilient and to be to think positive, because life is not easy for anyone. But if you think positive and think of the much bright future, you can change a lot for yourself and for the others. And
Yeah,
so I think that this is the recipe.
I love that. What's your blind question for the next guest?
Well,
It can be anything. It can be anything.
yeah. I was thinking, in these days, we also during our discussion we were talking about, why we are into different countries, regulation, etc. So, and I mentioned that, uh, we have to consider also the transformation of the planet. So my question would be very, very simple. For example, the next person that you interview, what is this person think that the globalization
Uh-huh.
has been very positive for the world, or on the contrary, brought a lot of difficulties to the people? And so, what is the scenario for the next 5, 10 years?
If it's so you're asking if it's more positive or more negative for the world of what's going on for the next 5 to 10 years? Okay, I love that question. That's a very good question. Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Calloni. This has been absolutely amazing. You've been great.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me, and good luck for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.